Hey guys, we've got a pretty cool technical video today. This is on a subject that I've probably gotten the most questions about since I started making these videos and talking about this car, and that's the electric power steering system that this car is fitted with, and how I fabricated that and what components I used. So let's dive in and take a look. So this is a picture of the system that is fitted to this car next to a regular Subaru Impreza steering column. This is an ePass system out of a 2004 to 2009 Toyota Prius, and ePass being electric power assist steering. And this is an electric motor that is mounted to the steering column, not the steering rack of the car. And what it has is basically two little sensor rings inside of the main housing body there. And when it detects torque in the steering shaft from the driver trying to turn the wheel, it applies assist force in the same direction as you are turning the wheel. So it measures the deflection of the shaft as you try to twist it and then helps it along. This has some advantages and disadvantages over a standard system that might be an electric assist or a power assist, a regular hydraulic system at the steering rack itself. So this is a more lightweight system, and it's got some torque advantages because it's enacting its torque upon the column itself, the same place that the driver is turning the wheel. But because we don't have any knowledge of where wheel center is with this kind of system, there's no centering force. So all of your wheel centering comes from how your alignment is set up. This simply applies torque in the direction you're trying to turn. It won't try to bring the system back to center after you've gone to full lock and you're coming back the other way. So it can be hard to find the actual center point of the steering with this kind of system. But this is pretty lightweight, unobtrusive, and it doesn't require the same kind of amperage draws that a rack mounted system require, and it's a little easier to adapt to your car. And the other benefit is that you don't have to get a special steering rack. This is all column mounted, and you can still run quicker ratio racks or slower ratio racks. You can run a depowered power steering rack or a manual rack, whatever you'd like to do, and this is all column mounted, so it gives you a lot of options. Also fitted to this column is a 1.5 to 1 steering quickener. This adds a lot of fabrication work to try and adapt this, but a quickener is one of the easiest things you can do to improve your times, and especially for a novice driver like myself, where getting crossed up on steering is one of the most time-consuming and dangerous things that can happen in the middle of a corner. This is a really great way to improve your control. If we look at the components of this system, there's very little Subaru left. The 5 inches of stub shaft here are the only thing left of the original Subaru column shaft. So we have the stub shaft, we have the Howie adapter, we have the actual steering quickener, we have a custom fabricated tube adapter that clocks the steering quickener and mounts to the Toyota Prius ePass column assist. And then we have the Subaru original 2-bolt bracket, which includes the height adjustment lever still, that is welded to an entire Toyota Prius upper column section as well. And then we also have the metal spider here from the Subaru column to mount the wiper stalk and turn signal stalk. This actually uses an NRG hub adapter for a Toyota Prius because my entire upper column is a Prius column. And this reduces the complexity and the number of adapters and welds you have to make to fit this system to the car. So what's required to make this system work? Well, the answer is surprisingly little. These are becoming very popular swaps with resto mods and street rodders, and these are easily available on eBay or at your local salvage yard. And there's a couple components you want to get. You want the
motor itself, obviously, and the housing that contains these torque sensing rings. And that also has the two wiring pigtails that come off of this. And one wiring pigtail is a simple two-wire hookup for the electric motor power, and the other is the signal wires from the torque rings. And these both go into basically a control module for this column setup. All this column setup needs to work is power, ground, and a 12-volt signal to turn it on. And once you apply the 12-volt signal, it comes on in about 5 seconds. Usually these are speed sensing, so these are hooked up to the computer in the car, and it gets a speed signal so that the steering assist level is lessened as your speed increases. But they operate in a fail-safe mode if they do not have a speed signal. So I'm operating completely in this fail-safe mode, which is a standard level of assist across all speeds. And it's 3 wires, and then I mounted this control box up under my dash. If you're going to buy one of these systems, I recommend getting the complete unit. You're not going to use the U-joint lower half that you see in this picture, but I would recommend that you use the stock Prius upper column section. And even if you don't, it's nice to have it there as an option and to see how it all goes together and the clearances work. These are also used in, I think, Saturn views, almost the exact same setup with a different motor mounted on them. So if you need more clearance, I believe you can swap out the motors between these. I think the View motor is a shorter, fatter cylinder than this, but this actually works just fine underneath our dash here.
So here's a look at how everything slots in underneath the dash here. This is the actual power steering motor, the electric motor, off of the gearbox assembly here. And you can see the quickener down here. Perhaps I can get a little more light on that. That goes right in between the gas and brake pedals, and it's a bit of a tight squeeze, and especially with the motor position around the switches for the clutch and brake pedals, you have to be careful. There's a narrow range of clocking where this motor actually works. It's probably, I'd say, a 20 to 25 degree range this motor has to be clocked in. Otherwise, you'd have to flip it the other way and start taking major components out of the dash or rearranging them on the other side of the column. But this is actually still mounted on the stock 2 points farther up the column on the stock Subaru bracket, and I haven't cut anything out to make this fit. And I haven't relocated anything either. I've just pulled the wiring harness to a slightly different location, but everything else slips in and fits properly underneath this dash. So if we look at the positioning of the column itself and where the wheel is, and also where the turn signal and wiper stalk is, it's pushed forward much farther than on a regular car, and that's to get a better wheel position. My seat is fairly far forward on this car, and I like to sit on top of the controls, and even the stock Subaru steering column forces you back as in terms of where the wheel position is. So I wanted to take some length out of the column to get that steering wheel in a comfortable position, so that I could sit as far forward on top of the controls as possible and not move the stock pedal box location.
I hope you enjoyed the video. This was one of the more challenging aspects of this build to get correct, and it was probably the most rewarding. The footage in the background is of us on the waste management stages of STPR, which were very difficult, tight stages, and the steering was wonderful. The combination of the electric power assist, which had a pretty even assist level all throughout, and the steering quickener really helped us in this section, and we didn't have to worry about boiling the fluid in the power steering reservoir, obviously, because that doesn't exist anymore. So it really helped out. Please let me know if you have any questions on this build or the wiring or anything like that, and I hope you enjoyed the video.